The
Oh no.
Sydney City Roosters. He's the producer's had a heart attack. He's the
Tell you
S's
what,
again, guys. But if you're a
bro,
podcast listener, it's probably doing you a good thing at the moment. You don't want to be a YouTube listener or watcher for this episode because it's probably giving you a bloody aneurysm watching this. If you,
Given me one, and I made them.
nah, look, Jez, you can come back a little bit by going through the gains and losses
oh
in the best
God.
way possible.
Oh, I was trying to edit the slides. Well, gains. We've got Spencer Leniu coming from the Panthers. That's quite a nice signing. Lewis Murphy from Wakefield coming in from the Super League. That's always fun rather than them going.
Can
Ethan
usually
Roberts.
works
So
out.
hang on. Can you just tell us a little bit about Lewis Murphy and his career so far?
Yeah, well, he played at Wakefield. And now we've got Ethan Roberts, Blake Steep, Xavier Var, Alex Young, and I don't know this last bloke. Never heard of him.
I believe he's Alex.
He looks
Alex Young's brother.
Yeah, I think so. Alex Young from Newcastle. Everyone who has played football up here will know who he is. No, Dom Young, massive gain for the Roosters. Just looking at their back line, oh my goodness. They've done it again. Their losses, do we want to go through the losses or we want to talk about the gains?
Yes.
Well, we'll go through the losses. They've got Corey Allen to the Dragons, for those who are watching on YouTube. The Dragons. Fletcher Baker has gone to the Broncos. Thomas Deacon to Huddersfield. He's gone to the Super League. Eli El Zakahim. I've murdered that one. Castleford. Oh, it's THT. THT. Remember this guy from last week? He went to the Sharks. Drew Hutchison to the Bulldogs. Uate? That's how I would pronounce that. Carawellavua? He's been released, and I think it's because of his last name. Matthew Lodge, good old Lodgy, really done the rounds. He's off to the Seagulls. Paul Momoroni has gone to Leeds. Jackson Paulo to the Seagulls, and Jake Turpin to the Bulldogs. So quite a big in and out. So the door is definitely swinging at the Sydney City Roosters.
Oh, goodness. I just need to take a second. I love you doing these.
I got that one. I got that one, Jerry.
Oh, Adam, you can go first. Just give us your thoughts about the gains and losses to the Roosters.
Yeah, look, obviously, Spencer Leniu is a massive signing. The forward pack, obviously, Jared Brewer has grazers. He's getting on a bit. He probably look at that bench spot now with Spencer starting there with, what's Frankenstein's name again? Geez, it's been a long off-season. I can't even remember Frankenstein's name.
Oh,
Lindsay Collins.
Yeah.
Lindsay Collins.
Lindsay Collins.
Having Lindsay Collins and Spencer Leniu obviously starting is going to be massive for the Roosters. Lewis Murphy, he's only young. He's a winger from Wakefield. As you know, I follow the Super League quite a bit. I guess my biggest concern for players coming over from the Super League is half of them don't hack it and do their time and make it. He's obviously going to have Dominic Young and Tupou ahead of him, so he needs to bide his time to learn the game before he gets his crack and his opportunity. Ethan Roberts, no idea who he is. Blake Steep, no idea who he is. Xavier Bay, no idea who he is. And Alex Young, no idea who they are. And maybe this might be players. Obviously, Jeremy couldn't find information. Maybe players just promoted from their lower grades. I believe they're called Roosters Juniors. It's a very rare thing, but they do have some. And obviously, Dominic Young coming over from the Knights, who on his day can be one of the best wingers. On his off day, which we saw after he signed this contract, he can find himself back in reserve grade. I was obviously playing some pretty consistent football for Newcastle at the back end of the year, but halfway through the year, I thought it was a good thing the Knights let him go. But look, huge gains. Obviously, the losses, I know we'll probably talk about the losses soon anyway, but it just shows that the Roosters actually do have a salary cap, because if you look at what they've brought in two big-name signings, but they've let go of quite a bit of experience there as well when you look at like the Drew Hutchinsons and Turpin. I know Turpin letting get his opportunity there before. I know they're not a massive money to add all those players up. And obviously the benefits of the third-party deals they would have got would be huge for the Roosters to bring those other players.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's for once they're probably not the club with the microscope on them, but then you look at their lineup as I've done recently, and even the players that don't make it, the starting of this year round one side is going to be eye-opening, and some of the players they're going to have turn up in their New South Wales Cup side is quite scary. Like Jez mentioned, the back line, there's going to be at least one big name that misses out in a spot for that. But then I'll also look at the back row, the forward pack. It's ridiculous that there's going to be looking like the likes of someone like maybe Crichton or someone won't be having a spot on this side. So, or in this side, it's pretty sensational to be honest. So, I'm really looking forward to the Roosters this year. And I think the losses again, like they've been really smart with their recruitment as well. The Roosters, like they obviously needed probably that bit more spark in the back line. There was a lot of injuries, I think, last year, and now everyone's full strength. It doesn't look like it was probably as important as it is, but they obviously need to cover Suaalii next year as well. So that's where Dom Young comes into play. They needed to get him now, otherwise miss out on him. And Lenu's been crying out for that starting spot. So if they can get that happening, really looking forward to seeing what he has in the starting spot. Jez, after your time to relax after some of those pronunciations, do you have anything further to add?
Just on that back line. And we're forgetting about Connor Watson. I'm surprised like they re-signed him to 2025 after he blew his knee out. Now he is someone that I am really excited to see come back, but I can't see him getting into the team. I don't know where he's going to fit. Is he going to play that 14? Is he going to play hooker? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. That back line, though, I'm just looking at the Roosters team. Tupou Young, Tedesco, Manu, Suaalii, sorry. And then you got Keary, Walker, Smith, like all these guys that are in some really good form. And you're right. How are they all going to fit into that team? You're going to have a bumper New South Wales Cup team for the Roosters as well. And hopefully that sparks them to really fight for their positions. And we see the ones that really deserve it to be in there. And I don't know, it could be a really big year for the Roosters as well, depending on injury.
Yeah, let's rate the recruitment. Again, I'm going to 9. I really like some of the additions. Adam?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. Look, I got the 2. Actually, I'm going to give it an 8.5. I think they've let go a lot of experience, and I know obviously they're strong on paper. We said that Jamison players dropped out, but some of these young players come through, you don't quite know what to expect from them. The fact they're promoted by the looks of it, 1, 2, 3, 4 players, they're top 30. Obviously not knowing what they achieved last year, but I know you've got to have your depth there, but come Origin time and come injuries, they could be relying on some of those players. So some of the experience they let go, I'll give them an 8.5.
Yes.
Yep. I've got a 9. Some really good signings there.
Yeah, positives. I think we've spoken about a few already. I think depth this year is normally one of Roosters' sort of weaknesses. I think this year it's probably a strength for them. They've got crazy amount of depths pretty much in every position covered to start this year. So it's a pretty scary feeling, especially considering last year their biggest downfall was so many injuries and suspensions, especially early onto the side, and just sort of that's play catch-up footy and their best footy a lot earlier than they probably would have planned to do. You know, they like to start slow and then build into the season, but they had to get the ball rolling a bit earlier or sooner than they would have liked. So that's my one. Anyone else got some more positives?
Not really. I hate them. Can I give you the negatives? No. I'm going to give you their biggest concern, and my biggest concern for the Roosters and where their season can derail is head knocks. It's as simple as that. The old HIA could really screw over their season. You've got Tedesco, who still doesn't know how to pass the ball at whatever age he is and stand up at the same time. You've got Luke Keary, who's probably one major head knock away from retirement, medical retirement, and you've got Victor Radley in the same boat. They've all had a lot of head knocks, and you've seen how big that can be and how quickly that can change a game. And in those physical games, those must-win games where, you know, you want them to be firing, you need to make sure you keep those players on the field. And I guess history kind of proves that it's a big chance of not happening. So that could be the biggest downfall for the Roosters this year.
Mine's in a similar sort of vein around the head space, but it's how they lose their head. So the tempers get the better of most of these Roosters players, and they give away those silly penalties. They give away just a lot of field position through that, and then on the back end of that is the suspensions. So you've got guys that are quite hot-headed, and if they can't control that, they're going to spend more time off the field, and they're going to lose more games because of it. Victor Radley is one that just loses his head for absolutely no reason. He might get picked on a little bit by the referees for it, but him, Jared Weir-Hargraves, like those guys, they can let their tempers get the better of them. And that kind of filtered through the forward pack a little bit as well with Crichton and I think Collins was the only one that didn't fall sucker to the rage. So if they can harness that, if they can control that, they could be really, really good. But I think that's a massive downfall for the Roosters, especially last year when they had the injuries, when they had the people out. They were just giving away really silly penalties because they were getting just too caught up in that anger that was within it. So,
yeah. No, I do agree with that, and I think another one you can including that is probably Brendan Smith to a certain extent. Sort of seen the best and worst of him in patches last year. I felt like for Brendan Smith, I think we're going to see the best of him this year. I think towards the back end of last year, we started to see some of his better footy. He obviously had a pretty disrupted year last year. A lot of rumours around about him as well, which came with the territory of moving into Sydney, unfortunately. But we're not too sure what to believe when all that sort of stuff came out. But looking forward to seeing him. The Roosters need him to be at his best. If they're to win this competition or go close to it, they need a dominant hooker to do what he does best, really. So
I think one thing we're kind of forgetting about Brendan last season, not only the pressure that come with it and all this disposable income he had of his, living in the Sydney lifestyle adapt to as well, but he was conditioned at Melbourne to be half a hooker, half a front rower, half a lock. And I know that's three halves, so I'll say a third of it, whatever. But I kind of chucked in the lock one last minute. But his body wasn't conditioned to what the Roosters wanted him to do last year, which was to play big minutes at 9. So if they are going to expect him to play the big minutes at 9, they're big focused on conditioning in the off-season. Obviously, we're in pre-season now, we're only 4 weeks away from trials, 3.5 weeks. Is he needs to be adapted to playing 80 minutes if that's what they want. So we don't know how they're going to use Connor Watson because, the expectation of what happened last year was a bit tough on Brendan as well.
I reckon they'll want 60 minutes out of him. I reckon what we'll end up seeing, I think we'll see Connor Watson play about 20 minutes at 9 and be that sort of spark off the bench if it's needed. I reckon you're right there about. I feel like they'll stop with this whole putting Brandon Smith into the forwards. They don't need it this year. Their forward pack is ridiculous as it is. They don't need extra forwards. Like if they were depleted, I could understand it, but full strength at the start of the season, especially, he just needs to focus on the 9 position and that's it.
I agree.
What's our finishing position, Jez? You can start us off with this one. What's the bracket?
5th to 8th, around that back end. I reckon they're going to sneak in.
Adam?
I've got them 5th to 8, but I'll also say I've got a big chance of winning the comp if they can put it all together. I had him a couple of years ago as my expectation to win the comp, and even last year. But they just haven't found that balance with the players there. The only reason I've got them 5th to 8th and not 1st to 4th is because, like I stated earlier, I think they could lose some of those close games due to the head knocks, and as Jeremy said, they're losing their head. So, but they could be one of the first teams, obviously, to win the comp outside the top 4. I'm predicting that as a bold statement.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, hang on. We might have to get some of those bold statements in a few weeks. I've got them 1st to 4th, and right now, if I had to give someone my premiers, I'd be saying the Sydney Roosters. So I am very